The voice of sharing. Durian ASEAN.
Hey, this is Arlene,
And this is Gowri.
and you're listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Today is a Thursday. Is that right, Arlene?
Yes,
It's not a
today.
Sunday, is it?
I think every day is Sunday to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, so it's exactly 8 right now, and as usual, we have a lot of news from all over Southeast Asia to share with our listeners.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, I cannot see that. I must
We've
disagree
been
with you.
we've been banned from saying so many things that I don't even know if we can talk right now.
Well, before we start the news, I just want to comment about yesterday. I think we all saw from the social media what happened in the social media. I mean, what happened in Malaysia yesterday.
There was a video that went really, really viral about this Malay girl or woman who got really angry because somebody bumped into a car from the back, and she took out the steering lock, and she was being all aggressive about it,
All
and
enraged about it.
yeah, and the guy who banked her car was just an uncle, and he was an elderly man who obviously it was an accident. He didn't bump on your Peugeot on purpose. He didn't mean to hurt your
And that
precious
old
little
man was
car.
was just so sweet and so kind-hearted. He was just apologizing, repetitively and just telling her that it is unintentionally done.
Mm-hmm.
But she wasn't listening at all, and in fact, she was spewing some racist remarks.
That is right. And also, Kyrie actually made some really good remarks on his Twitter where he said, the worst thing about that video is that everyone just stood there and watched. Why didn't anyone try to do anything to try and stop that woman, try to calm her down, try to intervene? Why were you guys just watching as though it was just some accident that happened?
But did you see any other than Kari, any politician commented about this?
Not that I know of. I do follow a number of politicians on Twitter, and they might have, but I don't remember seeing any comment. But I did see the one from DG where they actually offered to
Oh
pay
yeah, they did.
for both the uncle's car and also for the Peugeot for the repair cost.
I think a lot of corporations in Malaysia sometimes they can be really really nice. I mean, in a way, although it could be a publicity stunt, but in a way, it's also nice for them to like
That's right.
do something, out of this an awkward situation, I would say.
And also, turns out that somebody actually hacked her Twitter account and made an apology of all things.
Oh, it wasn't her?
You would think that when somebody hacks your Twitter account, they would say something mean or make things worse. But this person, whoever it was that hacked her account, actually made an apology on her behalf to make her look good. And one of my friend commented saying, "Was the hacker Canadian?" I thought that was really funny.
Oh my god, that's funny. But at the same time, when I look at the whole situation, I feel that Malaysian in general are against racism. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, we will return back to the situation of May 13, where there will be racial riots." I mean, with all those different organization and rights group that spewing all these racist remarks and racist comments towards other people, it seems like Malaysians in general are actually quite immune towards it.
We are definitely trying to get past all the racial barriers, the discrimination, the stereotypes in the country. But then, of course, like you said, there are people also warning us that the May 13 incident might happen again, which is really, I would say it's bad, and it's not right for them to do that, especially when you're a politician, because your main job as a politician is to, of course, look after the people, look after the country, try to preserve the peace and harmony in the country. And of course, it's not all perfect. We have our ups and downs. We have our rifts sometimes. We have our differences. But I think that Malaysians are generally trying really hard to overcome that. When somebody is hurt, you usually you don't ask for their race, like, oh, is that an Indian guy or Chinese guy or Malay guy? Like, oh, if it's Malay, I'm not gonna help, or if it's Chinese, I'm not gonna help. Like, you don't do that. When somebody is hurt, it's your human instinct to just jump in and help the person.
you know, one thing that I want to add on towards
Uh-huh.
your comment is, I definitely feel that Malaysians in general are actually quite intelligent. The reason why, I mean, there's a reason for it. What I observe is we only saw the video in the morning, although it was posted yesterday,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but just a couple of hours later, they call themselves Muslim hackers or something like that. But I would say that Malaysians are just probably pretty good at Google searching. They already found the identity of the girl
Yeah,
within
I
just
actually
minutes.
saw it. Somebody posted it as well. It was within 24 hours they
Mm.
managed to get all the information
Including where she
regarding the
work.
girl. Yeah, and
It's insane.
another thing about this incident is also you see a lot of people feeling, or should I say, empathizing with the uncle, and also admiring the fact that he didn't lose his control, because I think any other guy in his place would have probably, you know, to be challenged by a woman like that with her steering lock, he probably would have lost it and, I don't know, assault her
But
or
he's
something.
just an
But
old man. I think he don't even intended to like be harmful at all. And I think his children, I mean, one of his children wanted
mhm.
to press charges, but I think because of him, they didn't proceed to it.
I read something similar as well, and he just chose to forgive her
Hmm.
instead of pressing charges, which is really nice of him. And once again, it shows that, you know, race doesn't matter.
Hmm.
It all goes down to us being humans and being nice to one another, being kind to one another, and forgiving each other's mistake,
Hmm.
accepting our differences, especially in this multi-racial country.
That's true. Oh, I cannot say that word again. I cannot agree with you. But I just want to agree with you that the next news will be a Malaysian news as well. And the headline is Have More Children, Malaysian Indian urge.
So when I read this news,
It's funny.
yeah, at first I laughed,
Mhm.
but then I thought that it's actually really sad that they have to resort to this move to because they're a minority and they feel so threatened that this is the only way for them to actually how to say, preserve their race. So yeah, at first I laughed too, but then I realized that wow, this is actually something serious if you really look into it, because so this guy, who is the president of a local Indian press, I think he said Indian couples should not limit their number of children to just two, as is the current trend. And he said you should have more children because there would come a time when the foreigners would actually outnumber the Indian community.
Oh, you mean you have more children so that you can outnumber the foreigners? But why? Why so? What's the reason for it?
I think generally the Indian community in this country tend to feel a bit marginalized, and I guess even statistically we are the lowest number compared to Malay and Chinese. We Indians are even fewer, and that is kind of I would say intimidating in a sense,
Hmm.
and also with all this quota system and all, I guess it is really getting to them that if they don't do something about it, eventually the foreigners might outnumber them and they will not be a significant race or community anymore in this country.
Well, from where I'm coming from, I would disagree with the view of this
Mm-hmm.
uh, person who made the statement, because I personally feel that you you shouldn't be stick you shouldn't stick your identity just solely based on your race,
Mm-hmm.
and you shouldn't feel threatened by foreigners. I think that is a very xenophobic sort of sentiment. Usually people would have, and you see that in Singapore as well. They are very sensitive towards foreigners. But I
Mm-hmm.
just want to highlight that there are countries that they are very welcoming to foreigners,
Mm-hmm.
and for example, the country that you mentioned earlier, Canada.
Right.
but in that sense, I think the mindsets here, that I think the underlying mindset here is they feel threatened. And I think the feeling of threatened is not because they are being outnumbered, it's because their rights are being diminishing in a way.
That is also another factor, I would say. But I think, like you, I disagree as well, because if you really want to stand out, you don't just increase the number of kids that you have. You probably try to focus on achievements. You know, you try to be more successful in what you do. You
Yeah, I
help.
mean, if they feel threatened by foreigners, they should push for more immigration reform. Uh, to be told, the immigrants that coming to
Mhm.
Malaysia, I don't know if they are being regulated or not. I mean, they have even fewer rights than Indians in particular. Uh, but at the same time, they are being outnumbered because that's the source of our cheap labor.
Well, they definitely won't be outnumbered if they go to Penang.
Well, I
So
hope,
that's
yeah.
probably something they can consider if they do.
Well, they can now with that ban on foreign cooks. I don't think they can be foreign. They can work as a cook. I think the Indians that can come to Penang and work as a cook. But my point is, I think I disagree with the point of President Datuk R.S. Thenetiran view, because I think it's a very xenophobic view, and is a view that is a very race-based sort of perspective. It's not based on the idea that you should exist because you are free to exist. Their idea of existence is because they fear there's some sort of external threat towards them, and it exists in a lot of community. And to the worst extent, it will be like the U.S. When you feel that you are externally threatened, you invade another country,
Right.
something like that.
But it's also, I guess, it's like you said, is a racially motivated thing, and I think that it's probably all right to want to preserve your race, but just to increase the number of children in every household, I don't think that's the way to go about doing it. If you, I mean, being outnumbered by foreigners, that's probably a reason that I cannot accept. And
But what is the reason that you can accept that Indians should have more children? Is it because they don't have more sex than other races?
what?
I'm just throwing suggestion. It's not true.
I know. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I think the main thing here is that they are not getting the recognition that they think they're supposed to get, and they're not probably getting a lot of rights, like what you mentioned earlier. It's also about their rights as a citizen and all. And I think that's the issue. That's the real issue that they should be addressing, as opposed to just saying that, okay, so we're going down on numbers, so every one of you should have more kids. So what if you have more kids? So what if all your kids get spoiled anyway, and they don't contribute anything? Then it's still pointless. People will still not take you seriously, or take the Indians seriously. So I think the way to go about it is to definitely, because we know that a lot of Indians are becoming doctors. I'm an exception, of course. Long story, but
Trust me, they are not every Indians are becoming doctors. Some of them
And-
are becoming lawyers. You're just
oh,
kidding.
that sounds very different. Okay, so yeah, so I think that it c- that Indians are a very smart community, and I actually don't like to segregate it racially. I think that everyone is the same. Everyone's got the same mental capabilities. Everyone is intelligent, but like I said, most Indians are becoming doctors, so they are contributing something to the country. They are making a substantial achievement, and I just don't think that that's something that they should be so
And
paranoid
talking about negative growth population, majority of those with negative growth populations are nations that are mainly developed nations. But although it's a general global trend, because I saw once in TEDx in text in TEDx that it shows it is a general global population that the growth is actually negative for majority of the population in the world, but mainly in developed countries, people are not producing enough babies, and there's a reason for it. It's not because they are not interested in it. I think there's a few couple of reasons, and economy is different. It is possibility one of it, and also self-actualization. When you have lesser kids, you have more time to yourself.
Speaking of economic, actually, that's something that I want to talk about as well. If you encourage them to have more kids, do they actually have the means to support the kids? And if they don't, what is the government going to do to help them out? And wouldn't that make the situation even worse? Because they're already feeling like they're not getting enough from the government, not as much as they deserve to get, or as much as they should be getting. So uh, yeah, of course you can tell them, yeah, you please have more kids, but are they economically stable? Do they have a good paying job that can sustain like 4 or 5 kids, because we know how expensive it is to, start a family or to have kids these days.
It is definitely expensive. And talking about economics, one society that is currently concerned with economic is definitely Indonesia, and because of that is one of the key determined issue in Indonesia's election. So the story goes for Indonesian election is good news from Indonesia's statemate. So the Indonesian Election Commission will start their counting, the counting of the votes on July 21st. According to the English language Jakarta Post, cases of foul play are spreading like a rash during the vote turbulent phase. Most of the complaints are coming from Jokowi's supporters.
So it seems that their opinion that whoever wins, the margin of the victory will be small. And both candidates have already made it clear that they will not accept defeat on the basis of vote count determined by the Indonesian Election Commission.
That's hard, isn't it? I mean, both of the candidates are strongly thinking that they are winning.
That's right,
the
and that's
race.
why it also says that whoever wins, the other person is going to make an appeal at the Constitutional Court and try to demand for a recount. So I guess if this keeps happening, like if it's not Jokowi, it's Prabowo. If it's not Prabowo, it's Jokowi. Then they're probably never going to get this thing resolved, and the democracy thing will probably take a little longer than we all expected it to be.
Yeah, there's a problem that I think a lot of political analysts in Indonesia are actually discussing, like, would there be another riot? Because Indonesian election, ever since they practice democracy, has been actually quite peaceful. But up until now, is speculatively questionable, because in a way, if both of them have equal chance of winning with a 50, 49, 51 sort of percentage of winning the presidential election, the supporters might become very fanatical about this.
That reminds me of a video we saw the other day when Prabowo was being interviewed, and then the reporter or the anchor actually asked him, "So what happens if you lose?" And he said, "What are you talking about? I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win this thing." He's so sure and so confident about winning that he's definitely not going to accept defeat. And I would assume that Jokowi would be of the same mindset, that he wants to win, and he definitely wants to reform the country.
So majority of my Indonesian friends are pro Jokowi, and from their tweets or their Facebook postings, I can definitely sense that they are also confident that Jokowi will win. And I'm sure Prabowo supporters would be the same. But they are also, I would say, independent, neutral fence-sitter, meaning that they are not really supporting both candidates, but they are observing both candidates. And I think they make the best judgment in a way. I mean, this is based on what I see, because I think that what the race that is happening in Indonesia right now is a personality race. Their policy is probably almost the same or almost similar.
Right, and also you mentioned earlier, is there going to be another riot? But my question will be, there will probably be another election, because both of them are not going to be happy about it, and there's going to be probably...
You mean re-election or?
A re-election, as in, yeah, they're probably going to keep counting, and neither party is going to be happy, and then they'll probably call for a re-election at the rate that this is going, because even when we read the statistics, the margins were actually very, very close. It was probably just 2 to 3% off.
I think Indonesians can definitely learn from countries that have similar election situation. I think the US would be one example. They always have this very close race between the Democrats and the Republicans, but because democracy is quite matured there, they accept defeat quite easily. And I think Indonesian supporters, either is Jokowi or Prabowo, should respect that kind of process. Like, if you lose it, lose it. I mean, just accept it, and you just continue for the next 5 years and campaign for it, and probably, hopefully, win for the seat as well. But on a different country, I think they are facing different problems, and I think I want to go to Singapore. So Archie Comics, but from sorry, Archie Comics barred from sale in Singapore due to same-sex marriage depiction.
That's right, and an Archie comic book depicting a same-sex marriage has been barred from sale in Singapore after a complaint from a member of the public, and the National Library Board is reviewing its currently available copies.
Oh my God, Archie. Who doesn't love Archie? You
Actually,
know,
I've never read Archie, but
you're coming from the 90s generation or what?
yeah,
So,
where are you going with this?
no, actually, my dad used to
Mm-hmm.
own Archie's
Oh,
magazine.
okay.
So I used to
Mm.
read, some of the magazines, and I found it to be something that I really like.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the story is generally about. It's just that it was never quite my thing. Well, okay, never mind. So it seems that they received complaints about the content, which is apparently about same-sex marriage. And I did read an article recently saying that okay, I cannot remember. It was something about the ending of the Archie comic, I think, where this one guy dies trying to save his gay partner or lover or whatever that was, and that has probably spurred all this dissatisfaction among people, and also the idea of same-sex marriage. I don't know. I'm actually still shocked because I've always thought of Singapore as this liberal, open-minded country. That a lot of Malaysians, as much as we claim to hate Singapore, there are certain things that we really do admire about Singapore, and we wish we could emulate them over here. And then you get news like this.
That's the same amount of question that I have
Mm-hmm.
as you as well. And I think our ABC Dialogue guest would probably answer that question. Why
Mm.
a secular country like Singapore still have issues against
Mm.
LGBT? But a lot of the laws in Singapore are actually remnants from the British civil law, common law.
Oh, okay.
So in a way, during the British ruling, they are actually against sodomy or same-sex sexual intercourse. So in a way, I think they still have that kind of moral values where, you have to live a life that is based on a Puritan sort of lifestyle in a way. Puritan meaning that you honor the idea of a family, and a family is a traditional family with a wife and a husband.
Right. It's like there has to be a female, a male, and then your children.
Very fixed gender role.
Mhm.
So even in secular countries like in Singapore, they still have that sort of patriarchal mindset that discriminate people of other genders, and other genders could be women and could be from the LGBT community.
So that's pretty sad. I think that of all the countries you would get this from a place like Singapore where they because I definitely remember reading in articles or I also have a lot of friends saying I love moving to Singapore because over there it's all about meritocracy. They don't care about who you are as a person, what's your sexual orientation, as long as you can perform, you can you really know your stuff. That's all they care about, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well,
though.
it's great that your friend raised that up because Singapore used to be that kind of country. I think people aspire to go to Singapore, especially for the non-Malays, because in Singapore you really have the opportunity to rise up. It's a very capitalistic nation. It's based its ideology that if you work hard enough, you can go up, the ranks. But not so much nowadays. It seems like a majority of Singaporeans have this idea within themselves that you are what your social class. If you are stuck in that social class, you will probably end up like that, no matter how hard you work. So it's a very unequal society in a way. It has become.
Yeah, and I would say that that's a really sad thing that he has to come from Singapore, and I just hope that they resolve it pretty soon, because there's also the issue about the xenophobia, as we have read about the Philippines, and how they were not allowed to celebrate their national Independence Day, was it?
Yeah, Filipinos are not allowed. And talking about the our earlier discussion on the LGBT, the same-sex marriage, the Media Development Authority in Singapore, they said that they have assessed the comic in March, and after receiving a complaint and found it breaching the guidelines with the depiction of the same-sex marriage of the two characters, and in fact, the organization added, the Media Development Authority added that the publication consultative panel, which comprises a cross-section of 28 members from Singapore society, was consulted. Its member advised that the theme of the comic was not in line with the social norms and is in breach of existing content guidelines. What do you think of this, Gowri?
I am actually in a little bit of shock that they said it's not in line with social norms, because talking about social norms, that is a very subjective thing, because it depends on the society, it depends on the lifestyle of people, and it is very shocking to me that they are not actually xenophobia, but now they are homophobic as well.
Yeah, it's a very sad situation in a way, I think, because you would expect in a secular country you'll be more open-minded to different ideas. It seems like the government is not really opened in a way. And in other words, actually we are almost at the end of our session here. But for you all who are out there who are interested to get to know us more, you can always go to our Facebook and Twitter.
Yes, that's right. They can like us on our Facebook page, which is duranasian.com, and they can follow us on Twitter, which is duranasian, and they can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, apart from that, if they want to know about us, they can send us an email at duranasian@gmail.com, and we'll send them our list of weekly topics and speakers.
Yeah, that's true. I shouldn't say that, but I will agree with you on that.
You can't agree with me either.
I have to. I have to agree with you. Even
So
though
stay tuned to duranasian.com. We'll be back in a bit.
Stay tuned.